Akcie Tesly za 13 rokov na burze narastli 210-násobne. Vložíš tisku, máš 210. Vložíš 10 a si za vodou. Tesla ešte neskončila. Nezastaví sa, dokým neukončí transformáciu infraštruktúry Zeme na obnoviteľné zdroje energie. Okrem gigantických plánov na škále planéty ešte z klobúka vyťahne niekoľko epických produktov. To sa v konečnom dôsledku pravdepodobne postará o niekoľko ďalších dvojciferných násobkov jej akcií. Ak nie trojciferných, štvorciferných. No ak sa ti nepáči, že rozdáva svoje patenty alebo zdieľa svoj vlastný celosvetový systém nabíjačiek, aby dosiahla svoj cieľ čo najrýchlejšie, alebo ak nemusíš Elonov neoblomný zmysel pre humor, keď okrem výzvy na zápas v klietke navyše navrhuje súťaž vyloženia kopulačných aparátov na stôl s pravítkom. Existuje veľmi jednoduché riešenie. Predať akcie. Elon na konferencii ťa v tomto prípade doslova vyzýva predať akcie Tesly. Namiesto nepríjemného dospelého plaču s megafónom na prednom otvore. Prepínam.
Well, a lot has happened at Tesla over the last few years, and you've gone from delivering 50,000. Yeah, well, yeah. 50,000 cars in 2015, more than 1.3 million cars last year. Is faster or slower adoption than you expected?
Well, it's actually gone reasonably close to what I thought would happen, which is from that point, roughly a 50% year-over-year compound annual growth, which is compliments the Tesla team. It's the fastest growing large manufactured object ever. Which I think the second is like the Model T. Back in the day, so about 100 years ago. So the Tesla team, I'm very proud to work with them. They've executed incredibly well, and we anticipate something close to 50% growth to continue. So that is very exciting, and it means that we should expect electrification of transport, especially passenger vehicles. Quite quickly. Because the normal human instinct is to extrapolate on a linear basis. But really, if you look at the curves, electric vehicles are growing exponentially. The purpose of Tesla from the beginning has been to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. And so, I've been very clear with that. Even when we went IPO, I said, hey, look, some of the things we do may not be, super profit maximizing, so don't invest if that's a problem. I encourage people to sell their stock if that's a problem. On the other hand, we'll make up for it with some epic products. So I think on balance, we'll do okay. And we went public at, I think, one point, roughly just over $1.5 billion. So it's improved since then.
A bit, yeah.
Made some progress. But, some of the things that maybe we could have done that were not totally profit optimizing. I mean, we open sourced all of our patents, so anyone can use our patents, which is pretty unusual.
Yeah.
Because patents are like a minefield, it's just like, you don't want those, you just want a clear path to the future of sustainability. And then, as far as opening up our network, I actually don't even know if this is actually, a good thing for Tesla or a bad thing. I mean, I think it's morally right, but it's whether it's financially smart remains to be seen. But it was something that would help the rest of the industry go electric. So we opened it up, and so we don't want to use it as kind of a walled garden or competitive weapon. If it's something that would help advance sustainable energy, we'll do it. Yeah, like I said, we're really just trying to do the right thing here, and it's clear with Jim Foley and Mary Barra that we will support GM and Ford cars on an equal footing. No special status for Tesla vehicles and that kind of thing. It's got to be fair. So that's our commitment. We'll stick to it. But I really can't emphasize enough. We're at I think a very exciting juncture for electricity providers, which is that the demand for electricity is going exponential, and will, like I said, roughly triple from where it is today to get to a fully sustainable economy. So I think I would just be cautious about extrapolating from the past, because the future is not like the past. The future is a massive increase in electricity demand, and it's going to take everything we've got to just keep up with it. So I think speed, just figuring out okay, how do we move faster? How do we have faster deployment of electricity? And that's everything matters, from generation to transmission to the local substation. And I understand there's quite a long lead time on step-down transformers. So man, I hope Tesla doesn't have to make those too. But one of the limiting factors is the substation equipment to do voltage step up. And so we're just looking at okay, how can we what are all the things that slow us down to getting to a sustainable energy economy, and then we just tackle whatever appears to be the biggest issue. I'm not sure what your plans are for future electricity demand, but it's going to be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be much higher than what you currently think. Not that long ago, when the best we could do was kind of make a campfire. So you say, and I'm talking electricity and thermal energy per human, was extremely tiny if you even go back 200 years. We literally had to, burn wood or coal locally to gain heat. There was no electricity. And even if you take all of the all the steam engines and everything and divide that by total number of humans, power usage per human, thermal, electrical, or otherwise, was minuscule 200 years ago, and even less 300 years ago. Now it is incredibly high, and it is rising. Anyway, the point is it's going to be 3x current, and I think that 3x number is probably happens around 2045-ish. So this is the thing about exponential growth, is it really is counterintuitive, and will, actually exponentials tend to be kind of sort of underestimated. But I think we're moving quickly to the point where probably half of all new vehicles made will be electric, and I think that's likely to happen. I think before the end of this decade. I think the larger point is that demand for electricity is going to be extremely high. Yeah. So I hope this is good news. You need to roughly triple electricity to get to a fully electric economy. So it's really going to take a tremendous effort to address this demand. I really believe that stationary battery packs are absolutely the way to go. It is actually the fastest growing portion of the entire Tesla business. So so our vehicles are growing 50% a year, but our stationary storage is growing at 200 to 300% a year. Yeah. Well, there's fundamentally three pillars to a sustainable energy future. One is sustainable energy generation, which is solar, wind, hydro. I'm actually, a fan of nuclear, of good old fission. I think it's underrated.
I agree.
I mean, we could easily supply all of the world's electricity with fission, but people, I don't know, sometimes their understanding of physics is not amazing, and so they get scared of things they shouldn't be scared of. So batteries and solar and wind go together extremely well. And then the third pillar is electric transport. So get all three of those pillars going, and we have a sustainable future as long as the sun shines and the wind blows, which is going to be a long time.
Well,
yeah, so the raw materials are not really an issue here, especially when you consider iron-based cathodes. So we think probably most of the batteries made will be with an iron cathode. Iron is extremely common. It's actually the most common element on Earth by mass is iron. Second is oxygen. Everything else is in the remaining roughly 38%. So we have more iron there. We're basically a rusty, well, that's what Earth is. Iron oxide,
Maybe some of us
iron
more
and
than
oxygen. Iron and oxygen and some silicon and a few other things. But it's funny that Earth is by mass almost 2/3 iron and oxygen. So we're not going to run out of iron, that's for sure.
Right.
And especially for stationary storage, where mass and volume are not that important, an iron-based lithium-ion cell. So the thing about lithium-ion cells is like it's a lot of talk of lithium, but actually the lithium is like the salt on the salad. It's not the salad itself. So you'd use nickel for kind of long-range stuff where mass and volume really matter, and you'd use iron where it's less important. So medium-range cars, stationary storage, iron, long-range cars and aircraft would definitely be nickel.
Well, let me pull up from Tesla, and you do have a few other places where you spend your time.
Yeah.
So, again, I mentioned in introducing you, but SpaceX, Twitter, Boring Company, Neuralink. Is there a common thread in terms of mission across all of these? And, and what excites you most about your portfolio?
Well, I mean, the aspiration with these various things is to maximize the probability that the future is good for civilization. So it's, the future is just a set of probabilities. Like we don't know, for sure what's going to happen. But to the degree we can shift the probabilities towards a positive future for civilization, I think we want to do that. And to me, this is really just, if you're sort of long-term thinker at all, this is naturally what one should want to do, because how can we really exist in the absence of civilization? I mean, you can see what it's like. Just watch, Naked and Afraid. That's when you don't have civilization. It's civilization pretty great. So I think we want to keep it going and keep advancing civilization. So I think we should try to expand the scope and scale of consciousness such that we are better able to understand the universe and our place in it. So I would call, my philosophy of curiosity. And while we will all die as individuals, civilization can continue, in theory, for a very, very long time, millions of years or more. So we should try to make sure that happens. So these various things that I'm doing are trying to shift the probability of the future being good. Now, I hope it may turn out that some of these things, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So hopefully, those good intentions do not translate to something bad. But I think the road to hell is mostly paved by bad intentions. Once in a while, there's a good intention paving stone in there. But the intent is to maximize the probability the future is good for civilization. Well, I mean, I've had many sleepless nights thinking about AI. So I am worried about AI on the downside. You know, AI is just it's sort of a technology like nuclear. It's extremely powerful, but it could get out of hand. So I have been struggling with this question for a long time of what to do to mitigate AI existential risk. And I've been a big proponent actually of regulation, or at least having some oversight by the government, you know, acting as kind of a referee to make sure that AI companies don't go do super dangerous things, and nobody's even watching them, or there's no sort of agent of the public. So I think we need to be preemptive on this front. So I've had a number of conversations with world leaders, you know, including, you know, very senior people in China and around the world, Europe. I'm actually heading to Europe tomorrow to have some AI safety conversations with some of the country leaders there. Is because I think this is the kind of thing where the world needs to work together on AI safety. It's a really big deal. I can't emphasize this enough. So I was somewhat encouraged by China's willingness to engage in AI regulation. And I did point out that you know, if you get some digital superintelligence, it might be in charge of China instead of you. And I'm not sure you would like that. That argument seemed to resonate. Yeah, we've actually gotten very good support in China. Tesla has the only fully foreign-owned car factory in China. And we do very well in the domestic market in China. And our you know, our Shanghai factory is our highest performing factory globally. So it's a very impressive team that Tesla has in China. And the work ethic there is incredible. So, you know, I think it's going to be an interesting future.